Very good morning to you. For anybody who might have missed a testimony all day yesterday, some of the highlights of what Vytjie Mentor had to say to this inquiry.
Well, good morning, Yuveka. Indeed, the former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor detailed how she was approached by the Gupta brothers, who, by the way, would have been introduced to her by former President Jacob Zuma's son, Duduzane, aboard a flight to China, where there was going to be a state visit that President Zuma would attend. And on board that flight, that is where she says that Rajesh Gupta, one of the Gupta brothers, would have been introduced to her by Duduzane Zuma, who introduced himself as Duduzane. And of course, when they reached China, she says that the two Gupta brothers came to her hotel, and that is where they essentially asked her to go and meet the former President Jacob Zuma before a state banquet would actually take place. And so she says that it was getting dark and she was uncomfortable with meeting President Jacob Zuma because, as she says, because of the former president's reputation when it comes to women. Let's take a listen to what she had to say when she turned down that advance.
Issues of my security frightened me a lot, but also in my mind, in addition, I was not going to, because the sun was setting, I was not going to, as a woman, go to President Zuma, who had then and had a reputation with women.
Well, when she turned down that particular advance by the Gupta brothers to meet the former president, there was therefore another attempt to try and get her to meet with former President Jacob Zuma, because she had wanted to meet him anyway to talk about some of the issues that she wanted to talk to the former president about. This included the pebble bed modular reactor that she says government intended to close down. And so this is when therefore the meeting would then be arranged allegedly by the former chief of staff of the then President Jacob Zuma. This is Lakela Kaunda. She says that she received a call from Lakela Kaunda on a Sunday suggesting that former President Jacob Zuma would meet with her on a Monday in Johannesburg. And she then details how Lakela Kaunda told her that Atul Gupta would be the one that arranges logistics about flying her down from Cape Town to Johannesburg. And so this version, though, it has been rebutted, if you like, by the chief of staff, the former chief of staff to President Jacob Zuma, Lakela Kaunda, who says that this is not true. And she is actually today going to try and make an application to the commission to have that version of events, as Vytjie Mentor put it yesterday, tested. And so she wants to cross-examine Lakela Kaunda, I would imagine, through her lawyers, of course. And the commission made it clear that if that is what Lakela Kaunda intends doing, then what is going to happen is that the commission would also want to have an opportunity to test Lakela Kaunda's version. And so it means that anyone who wants anyone who's implicated in this commission and wants to rebut what has been said, they're not going to simply get the opportunity to rebut that information that has been given here by the witnesses, but they themselves are actually going to be the subject of a cross-examination here today.
Now, Kole, very briefly, before we let you go, Vytjie Mentor today continuing its day 2. What kind of ground do we expect to be covered today?
Well, the kind of ground, Dan, I would imagine, is that Vytjie Mentor is going to have to also try and substantiate some of the claims that she has made. Of course, this is her evidence in chief. Remember yesterday that there was some issues around the flight details that would have that she would have said in relation to her being flown from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Some of those details weren't very clear. There are no exact dates. And of course, there are other allegations, other people that Vytjie Mentor may have implicated here, people like former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba. These are just some of the people or some of the names that she would have mentioned yesterday. And so today she wraps up her her evidence in chief, and so it remains to be seen what it is that she's going to say further about some of the evidence that she has tabled so far.
Thank you very much, Xoli Mngambi. We'll leave you to get ready for the day 2 of Vytjie Mentor's testimony at the State Capture Inquiry, headed by the Deputy Justice Raymond Zondo.
Okay.